Miss Sanchez, how old are you?
17.
And you are married?
Yes.
You're married to a military person?
Yes.
And the defendant is your cousin?
Yes.
Your name is?
Raquel.
Last.
Wood.
And this is your?
Fiance.
The three of you decided to take an apartment together.
Yes.
Do you get a military allowance?
Yes.
For housing?
Yes.
How much?
I'm not quite sure. My husband doesn't really tell me. I think it's around like $1,600.
A month?
Yes.
And you get that allowance because he's deployed?
He's not deployed. It's the beginning of him joining. He was in MCT and boot camp when this was happening.
So the apartment that you were getting was an apartment that was going to be for you and your husband when he was available?
The apartment we were getting was for me to live until he gets stationed.
Until he gets stationed, and then you were going to leave?
Yes, I was going to leave wherever he got stationed.
And you discussed that with your cousin, Miss Wood?
Yes.
You signed the lease?
Yes.
You work?
Yeah.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at Walmart.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work at 2 gas stations.
Prior to moving into this apartment, were you living at home?
No, we were both living with my oldest sister.
You were living with relatives?
Yes.
And it would be a safe bet to say that you didn't have the money put together for a deposit and first month's rent?
Yes.
You did or did not?
We did not.
So the fact that the military was providing housing was of assistance to you?
No.
Well, let's put it this way. You couldn't have moved into the apartment that you moved in without the plaintiff putting up the deposit.
She was very much aware.
Now, don't tell me what she was aware of. I asked you a question. Prior to that, you had been living with somebody's sister.
My sister.
Who else lived with your sister?
It was just me and my fiance and her 3 children.
In what month did you move your mother in?
April.
Where had your mother been living before?
She was living with her boyfriend.
And she had a baby?
Yes.
And then your mother no longer had a boyfriend and needed a place to live?
Yes.
Now, before you moved your mother in, you and your boyfriend shared a room.
Mm-hmm.
And the plaintiff had her own room.
Yes.
Now, when you moved your mother and her baby in, where did everybody sleep?
Everybody slept in their room, and my mom and my sister slept in the living room.
At what point, Miss Sanchez, did you tell Miss Wood that you were not happy with this arrangement?
When she first was letting her mom stay with us in March.
And you had that conversation?
Yes.
Let me hear the conversation.
I let her know that her mother could not be here coming the month of April because I was due with my son and my husband was coming home from my labor. And that was just going to be too many people in a house.
And what did she say?
She said, okay.
Great. And what happened in April?
Well, she left the end of March, and I left for the weekend to go see my husband. And when I came home April 2nd, I was home by myself, and then Alan came home from work, and then she came with her mother and her sister moving her mom's things in.
Why?
She still needed a place to stay. We weren't going to kick my mom. I wasn't going to kick my mom and my sister out. I care, and she should care. It's family.
Just a second. You can't do that.
And it wasn't.
Listen
it's
to
not
me.
just that.
You can't do that.
It's not just that. I had also been going through a miscarriage, and Sarah knew. So my mom was there for my emotional support.
Listen to me. I don't care. Go live with your mother for emotional support. She doesn't have to share her apartment that she did not anticipate would be occupied by 6 people with your mother and your baby sister. I don't care. It's not that I don't care that you had a miscarriage. I care like another human being cares. But it's not relevant to this legal dispute. You had no right to move somebody else into the apartment when your roommate, who is paid up front for you, that allowed you to get out of your sister's house with your boyfriend when you were pregnant, to move into an apartment because the federal government was giving us $1,600 a month as a housing allowance. You're not allowed to move in your whole family. Judgment for the, just a second. How much security deposit did you pay?
It was $730.
And how much was the first month's rent?
$325.
And you moved out, and you moved where?
I moved out into an apartment that I got last minute.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,055. We're done.